You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 119. So on today's Small and Supercharged podcast, I am joined with the crazy talented, like annoyingly talented, Emily Cole, aka Emily Cole Illustrations. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're really welcome. That was a really lovely introduction. I wish you could follow me around and say that, because I definitely would.
You need to get like a big, billboard that you can just walk into a room with the crazy talented Emily Cole.
Could you imagine?
I would love that.
Who does this girl think she is?
So I am sure that everybody listening has seen your amazing drawings. And if not, you need to go and follow Emily. Not in real life, but on Instagram and on Facebook, and I'll give you the details at the end there. But can you tell us about how you got started drawing these amazing pictures?
So I was meant to be an architect, and I decided I wanted to be an architect because I was at a careers fair, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And my teacher said something like, be an architect, they get loads of money. So I was like, okay. Pretty much went ahead and decided to become an architect. But I was in my GCSEs at the time, and I hadn't taken any sort of arts studies. So I needed to get into my A-level course to get on to the architecture course at university. So I had to make a portfolio to draw, and I had no idea whether I'd be able to draw or not. And then I managed to get onto my A-level course, and then I got into architecture, and then I decided that I much preferred doodling horses instead of listening to ventilation strategies and things like that. I just started doodling partway through. I think I always, if I listen to things or listen to lectures, I've always got a notepad and I'm always sort of scribbling away in things. But I was part of an equestrian society at university, and what would I do? I started drawing them in secret. I was a bit embarrassed by it, but then somehow it got shared amongst them, and then they started doing requests, and then I sort of got known as this random girl that would draw people in their lessons. And then I think it just became more and more of a thing, but I was still had my mind set on becoming an architect at the same time. So the drawings didn't really become a thing career-wise until after I had graduated with a degree. I don't know if what I said just made sense.
No, it absolutely did.
No, it
did. So you are basically self-taught. You didn't have at school. For your A levels, did you do art, or was it?
Yeah, I did A-level art, and I did well in that, but I didn't know I could draw before then. I remember we had a friend who was doing some sort of foundation art degree, and she came over and she was like, this is how you do some like crosshatch shading, and you can draw a negative like this. So we'd like spend evenings me trying to learn how to draw. And I guess somewhere in there something must have clicked, because I suddenly found out I could draw and could paint. And yeah, it's just a really bizarre turn of events, because when you look back at what I've done now, you can sort of see the start of my job becoming a thing back then. But
so yeah. At what point did you, because you are, as you say, you graduated as an architect?
I'm not an architect. I have a degree in architecture, so I've done my undergrad degree. If I wanted to become a chartered architect, I'd have to do my master's and my exams. So I think in theory I could work for an architectural practice as a technician. I'd be terrible.
Don't do that.
No, I don't think I'm desperate to go back to it, but I think that's in theory that's what I could do. But
so at what point did you think, actually, I really, really like drawing pictures of horses, and I can make this into a job rather than drawing houses and buildings and ventilation, the word you said earlier I've completely forgotten?
I don't know if even now I'm sort of like, oh my goodness, I'm actually drawing horses as a job, and this is really strange. So I don't know if there's been any specific point where I'm like, this is going to be my job and I'm going to do it. But it sort of came round as a series of happy accidents that it's become what it has. So after I left university, I was doing a year in practice before I did my master's, and I just started drawing in my spare time. So I'd get home from the office and I'd draw a bit then, and then go to the office a bit more, do a bit more about the serious architecture bit, come back and draw a bit more. But I think the real turning point where it became, oh, this is actually a thing, was when the Olympics had happened, and I drew Nick Skelton jumping onto the podium too early. I don't know if you remember that. And he just sort of stuck his hands up in the air and cheered, and it was just such a wonderful moment, but so comical at the same time. And I was like, I'm going to draw it. I don't know why to this day that I thought that, but I drew it in like the small hours of the evening. And I think Horse and Hound had like asked for people's photos of their experiences from the Olympics. So I sent this drawing to them. I was like, I'm really sorry. I know it's not a photo, but I drew this and I'm really sorry. And I know it's really strange that I've drawn it, but here, and sent it off and forgot about it. And I went to the yard the next morning and I saw a message ping into my inbox, and it was from British Showjumping. They said, we've just seen your drawing. Can we give you a call? And I was like, oh my gosh, what's happened? There's like Nick Skelton seen it and I've offended someone, what's happened? But I phoned them and they were like, we love it, we want to buy it. And I was like, what? What's happened? And I had to like work out, and they were like, it turns out that Horse and Hound had posted it on their Facebook page, and then it had gone, I guess you'd call it viral within the equestrian community, and it was being shared in all sorts of places. And they said that they had walked into the office and had seen it on someone's desktop where they'd saved the picture. And I was like, oh my goodness, what? I just drew this in my bedroom. And like, it's in different places, and now people are asking to buy things. And so, yeah, I thought they meant like they wanted a print. So I was like, oh, sure, you can have one for £10 or something really random. They're like, no, we want to buy it. And I was like, what do you mean buy it? They're like, we want to buy it and like put it in like a presentation thing we're giving to the riders with like medals and different bits like that. They're like, oh, okay. And I think they just named a price. And
wow.
Yeah, to this day, one of the most surreal moments. I mean, you couldn't, in terms of like planning your career, I don't think you could write something like that. But
you actually went on to do a whole British Showjumping collection, didn't you? Because just before we came on, I've got one of Emily's amazing, well, I've got quite a few of Emily's amazing notelet cards. What would you call this?
Greeting cards, I think. Yeah.
A greeting card, but it's smaller, hence the notelet thing, which on the back says part of the British Showjumping range. So you've actually you did more than just that one drawing of Nick Skelton, didn't you?
Yeah, so this is when like it started to become oh my goodness, this is actually more of a hobby thing. Because while I was working in the architecture practice, I got talking with British Showjumping more and more, and they were saying, oh, we'd love to work with you, we'd love to release a range. And I was like, yeah, okay, how does this work? And like, I remember this one time that I was in the office at work, and I'd arranged to meet one of the ladies from British Showjumping and have lunch with her. So I felt like I was cheating my job, like running out, having a meeting with British Showjumping over a Pizza Express lunch or something, and then running back to do my real job, and not sort of putting two and two together as to what was happening. But yeah, they wanted a series of drawings, and we sold them on not t-shirts. We did mugs. I'm trying to remember what else we did. I think it was like prints and different bits, like magnets maybe. We just had like a little collection. Honestly, they're just the loveliest people to work with, and so supportive. And I think working with them gave me a real push to sort of take the leap into thinking, this could possibly be more of a thing than it currently is.
So how did the business develop from there? Because obviously at the time of talking to you, you've got an incredible collection of all sorts. I mean, we've got the greeting cards, I've got the weekly desk planner next to me, which I have scrawled all over, notebooks, calendars, all sorts. And you've also, I know you don't do them at the moment, but historically you've also offered commissions as well. So how did that kind of grow and fit together? And then at what point did you go, actually, we can put this on products, and you do beautiful homeware as well. So what was that journey like?
It was a long one, because at the beginning I didn't know how to print things. I had like a little inkjet printer, and if someone wanted a drawing, I'd run something off that, and it was sort of very makeshift, as it were. But I started working with British Showjumping, and we started putting together a range. But my contract was that was where it was, and it was brilliant. I loved it, and it meant that I was free to do the commission work, and they would manage the range, where I'd supply the drawings and they'd go, oh, we'll put it on this and this, and that was brilliant. And then it became, well, that came to a natural end. And I didn't have an online shop for a long time. I didn't know where to get things printed. I didn't know how you even would start, like, looking at more products. I remember trying to Google, and you're looking at all these. I think I ended up on a website that were looking at factories in China or in like Europe or UK, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like, this is beyond me. I don't know what I'm doing. So I focused a lot on commissions initially, and that was where the business naturally grew, and by word of mouth I got more and more people wanting work from myself, which was great. But then I think I found like a greeting card printer, and then that's gradually became something else, and then I started developing patterns, and then I was like, oh, actually I can put this onto this. And I think with any business, you just learn on the way. It's sort of, no one really knows what they're doing, but you just try your best, and sometimes things work and sometimes things don't. But yeah, I've managed to just make a good number of connections with different British manufacturers and things, and they've helped me put things together that I wouldn't have thought was possible. And it's still growing, and I guess it's become what it has today. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
It does.
I feel like I go on tangents.
No, it's brilliant, and it's really good to see the kind of the journey. So obviously the Emily Cole Illustrations brand we see now is definitely much more, in my eyes at least, the notebooks, the greetings cards, using your drawings, whether it's a pattern or as an individual drawing on various projects. But it's really interesting to hear that kind of evolution and how you got to this point now. So what is your favorite product you've ever released? I should just say I have not briefed Emily on any of these questions, and I feel like I've asked her to pick her favorite child, and actually one of my other questions is a lot like that. So yeah, sorry about that. So what's your favorite product?
I think the problem is I'm my own biggest critic, so I'd look at things and pick out faults. But the ones I'm particularly proud of, I'm quite proud of the desk planners, because I think they've come out really nicely, and I'm just pleased I'm just pleased with the product, and I'm pleased with like my notebooks as well, because that again was another product. I'm a massive stationery fiend, and I knew what I wanted. I was like, I want like an elastic, and I want it to be like a perfect bound notebook, but I don't want it to feel cheap. And I was just really specific about what I wanted, and it took me ages to find a manufacturer, but I feel like I've actually got something I'm really pleased with. And I know for me, I trust that it's a good product when I start nicking it for myself and my stock levels dwindle because I've taken all the stock. So
no, they are brilliant.
Yeah, I think.
And with these as well, some of the first ones that you did the patterns on, because I've got, looking at it now, I have got the dressage desk planner and I have got the eventing notebook. I'm just checking. I know there's also a ponies one, but there's an all over pattern with that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Were they some of the first products to have the all over pattern, or did you do that with other items first?
So the patterns started out as wrapping paper, I think. And the dressage pattern, which is possibly like the most popular of the patterns I have, it's really annoying because it was actually my husband that suggested I like do the little dotted lines with the movement, so it's got like 20-meter circle and serpentine and stuff. And for me, I think that's what makes the pattern more distinctive. I have to like grit my teeth and give James credit for coming up with that. But yeah, they started off as wrapping paper, but originally they were on a white background, and I knew that I wanted to start doing like some like tea towels or some aprons, and I was like, oh, white's a really impractical colour for anything to do with in the kitchen because it'll just get stained. And then I was putting different colours behind it, and like the duck egg blue became the one that worked, I felt, for the patterns I currently have. But yeah, it just naturally progressed from there. I wanted to see what works. Some items I think work with just like a conventional drawing where it is literally just one of my drawings on the products, but I think sometimes the patterns are more broadly they appeal to a broader audience, I think, because you don't necessarily need to know the inside joke or be horsey to like a pattern.
It gives you more opportunities as well to kind of connect with a pattern, I think. If it's, you know, a bay horse and you've got a piebald horse, you don't always see yourself in it. But here, on the dressage I'm looking at here, you've got, you know, little gloves and horseshoes, and I think that's a palomino and a bay, and there's lots of things you can connect to in the picture. I love it.
I'm really pleased.
So which is the favourite drawing of yours that you've ever done? That was brilliantly phrased.
I got it.
That's good.
Which drawing do I like the best?
Yeah, let's do that. That's much better.
I just said the same question you said.
No, you said it better though. I together like someone who hasn't spoken all morning. You know, when you wake up and the first sentence you say just makes no sense. That's how
I've realised in this lockdown that I don't speak to many people, and when I do pick up a phone, I can't put a sentence together. It's like I've just forgotten the English language. Favourite drawing I've done. There's a few that stand out for me for like different reasons.
That would be better, and then it's not like one's going to get jealous of the other because they're stand out. So
they're all my children. So one that I particularly find special is the Believe in Yourself drawing, which is the little Shetland looking at I think it's like a unicorn shadow. Just because I almost drew that for myself, and it just happened to become one I shared. And I think that's also one that James, my husband, says, I can tell that one means more to you than your other drawings. But the other drawings I like is there's one called Sweet Dreams, which is of a grey horse, and she's lying down. She's got a little unicorn teddy, and she's just napping. But that was based on a horse that I used to live on an event yard for a little bit, and she was called Violet, and we could see into what we called her bedroom window, and she could see into our window. So like that's how we used to have conversations with her out of our garden. But that sounded really random, didn't it? It makes sense if you knew it.
No, I love it.
But yeah, no, that's just quite nice because it was a horse I knew. I think it's when it's based on horses I know personally, I think that's always, it has a bit more of a link.
And can you tell us about, and this is like if Emily will tell us, I feel this is a big spoiler alert. Can you tell us about the snail and where he appears? Because I got this lovely thank you card with the snail on, and the stickers that stuck the pink tissue paper over my little haul had a big snail on it, which I wasn't expecting, but he's so cute. Can you tell us about him?
So he's called Marcel, and I just started drawing him in my drawings, and he became more and more of a thing, and now he's in most of my drawings. It's slightly progressed now to that the snail is in all my outdoor drawings, and a little mouse is on my indoor drawings. So
I've just seen the mouse. I've got now, whilst Emily's talking, I've just got my greeting cards, and I can see. Right, I'm going to keep looking for these.
So the mouse is called Pip, and the snail's called Marcel. And I just started hiding them in my drawings, and I don't know why, but I do. And if you have a drawing by me, there might be a snail in the drawing somewhere.
Well, I'm not going to look at all of these now, because some of them I've got to look really hard for, but I will get very excited.
I don't know if he's in a lot of my older drawings, but certainly my one, if you have the calendar, for example, he's definitely in that. But my mum says it's because, do you remember the Biff, Chip and Kipper books? I can't remember what they're called, with the magic key. But they always, I used to have them when I was little, but they'd always like hide a bone or a pair of spectacles in the drawings. And I remember when I was little, I'd always be looking for the bone or the magic key or the glasses and things. So I don't know if that's just, I've picked it. Oh, have you found it?
I found Marcel and I found the mouse. Pip, sorry.
Pip the mouse.
That is so cool. I love that.
Yeah. So, I had an amazing, one of the ladies I've worked with, she knitted me a Marcel and sent it to me in the post. And she sent me, she had a gorgeous horse called Flash, who's now sadly passed on. But she sent a photo of him hiding in these series of photos with Flash. And I could have cried. It was just the loveliest thing to get through the post and completely unexpected. But I'll show you these photos later. But
I love that.
It's so sweet. I absolutely adore it. I've got a little photo of Flash. I'm looking at him now on my notice board. But they've hidden like the little snail, like just on. I think he's walking over a bridge. There's a little knitted Marcel in the corner.
That's so cute.
It's absolutely gorgeous. I loved it.
So what have been the lows on your business journey? There is going to be a high thing because, as you know, because I know you are a podcast listener, I don't like to leave people on lows. We like to just have a little dip and then go up again.
Okay.
I think it's important to, because, you know, it's not easy, is it? Being self-employed, working for yourself, pushing on. There's so many challenges that get chucked in our direction. So what has been the kind of, or one of the lows for you? The standout low.
Yeah, owning a business is one of the scariest things. When it's your only source of income, it's the most terrifying thing to get your brain over, because you're like, oh, if I'm responsible for this. If I don't work today, then I haven't sort of got. I don't know when the next sort of bit of income is going to come from. But in terms of low, it's more, this will sound really depressing when I say it, it's sort of having to keep going when you're tired. Don't get me wrong, absolutely love my job, wouldn't change it for the world, but the lows come when I just feel like I'm burning the candles at each end, trying to get things working. And like I know sort of the Christmas period I find really taxing, because it's so busy and it's amazing, but when you've got like parcels going missing or orders not going through properly, and then you're trying to do drawings and you're trying to keep on top of your emails and your comments and all sorts like that, it's just really tiring to keep going. It's a lot, and I want to give people the best I can, and I get really down on myself when I don't feel like I've done that. And like, yeah,
I don't think that
does that count as it's not really a specific low, but
no, but I don't think your parcels being lost is on you, but I can completely understand that you're the person that people phone and say, oh, I was really excited about this, but it's not here. And that then makes you...
Or like if someone says, oh, I'm disappointed, it's like the worst word. And like I wear my heart on my sleeve with it a bit, because I feel like it's my name, and I put so much care and love into like the things I send out, that when things go wrong, I feel like it's a bit of me. And that's when James says to me that you need to realise that you are separate to your business. You are not your business. You own the business, not the other way round. And putting that into action's actually quite hard, because it's mind consuming, isn't it? Because you just think, oh, this person's just pinged me a message, I'll just reply to that, and then before you know it, you've been replying to things for like 45 minutes, and you're like, oh, now it's 11 o'clock at night, and where's my evening gone? But
do you have any issues with, I know when I speak to photographers, copyright's something that comes up a bit. Do you have issues with that as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
must be quite a low as well, because obviously you've put in so much time, energy, love, tears, sweat, blood, all of that, and then to have someone take your work and use it in the wrong way.
It's really rubbish. I mean, I feel for photographers at events when they've had years of hard work, and people like to get them to the standard they are, and people think, oh well, it's a photo of me, I can take that. I mean, I remember being at a show, and I was on a stand near the photography booth, and I saw people come in to look at their photos, whip their phone out, take up the picture of it on their phone, and then pocket it. And you're just like, oh, you can't, that's someone's livelihood. But I want to say 90% of it's done in ignorance, and people don't realise the damage they're doing. But I've also had companies erase my watermarks, or sort of try and rework it or trace over it, and it's just it's not great. I mean, I'm fortunate that I've got an amazing band of followers who will like point things out to me, or just help me. And on the times that I have had to like email people and say, look, this isn't right what you've done, they have been really apologetic. I'm quite fortunate that it hasn't amounted to anything really serious, but it is quite it's quite draining to deal with when
and it's another thing to deal with that you really don't want or need as well, isn't it? I think that, as you say, I think a lot of people do it in ignorance. I think that at least, but when people start removing watermarks and tracing over things, you do sort of think, oh, hang on a minute. I mean, luckily your style is so distinctive that even without the watermark, I'm looking at I've got the piebald, skewbald and poobald looking at me on my notice board. That's an Emily Cole.
But I mean, I've had the reverse happen where people have accused me of stealing someone's work, which I'd never do. But I'm fortunate that I know and speak to a few of the illustrators, and the times that something's happened and I want to deal with it, they've been really helpful in like sort of saying, no, she hasn't done that, or vice versa. And that's, I guess, going back to lows, that's really horrible when people accuse you of something you've not done. It really hits hard, because I would be devastated if anything like that had happened. But
I have to say, I know that obviously I'm not sure that people listening necessarily know you as well as I do, and they certainly can't see poor Emily's facial expressions here is like a physical pain. She's one of the kindest, nicest people I think I've ever met. And I can just imagine actually having someone accuse you of something you haven't done would really upset me, but I can completely see it would be.
Yeah. I guess going back to, it's sort of something I try not to think about too much, because it really hurt when someone said, "Oh, you're just ripping off so and so's work," or "It looks like a rip off of Thelwell," or "It looks like a rip off of this," and I'm just like, I'm just drawing cartoon, like, and I think there was one time I had like a series of really nasty messages from someone saying that I'd done this or that, and I spoke to the artist that she was accusing me of ripping off, and I had the loveliest chat with this lady, and she was so kind, and you know, like the silver linings where from that I gained a friend, and that was, but it was just it makes me feel sick at the idea that anyone would comprehend that I'd ever think that's okay, let alone
definitely
do something. And like I love other people's work. I follow so many artists because I enjoy it, and I'd hate to see it as we're in competition with one another.
I think that the vast majority of people 100% know that, and I know that, you know, you did what did you call it, a box exchange with Teresa Lewis Art?
Yeah. Oh, I was lovely.
And you know, you both got so much from that. It was so lovely to see it all over, because it was all over Instagram, wasn't it? You know, again, you're the least competitive person I know in that way, because everyone's got their own unique style, and there's space for everybody if they stay in their own path and they stay unique. They stay what makes them special.
Yeah.
So let's go high.
You can't fault people for wanting to protect other people. So like if the person in question did genuinely think that, then by all means she should call me out on it.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that I hadn't, and it became just really horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turned around and it's dealt with now. But yeah.
Let's go highs.
It's hard to think about. Actually.
Let's lift it up. Let's go highs. Tell us about some of the highs that you've had.
You know, that this job is just so strange. Like I've ended up in situations that you have to sort of pinch yourself about. Just, I think the major highs have been like getting to meet people, getting to work with people, when I've done like wedding invites for different people. Just, I remember one time I worked for a company and they presented their drawing. This was right at the beginning. They presented the drawing to like Francis Whittington, and I saw a picture of him holding my drawing, and I remember looking at it. I think it was a photo taken by Katie Mortimer, but I couldn't comprehend that this had happened from, at the time, my parents' bedroom, where I was just, not my parents' bedroom in my parents' house, that I was drawing. So it's just a series of that, or like being able to work with different charities. I did hospice in the Weald, and we did like big fiberglass horses that were dotted around Tunbridge Wells. I think the campaign was called Heard of the Hospice, but that was really amazing. Nothing that I would have ever thought was possible. But.
And you've also worked with Horse and Hound, haven't you?
Oh gosh, yeah, massive high. I'm sorry, Horse and Hound.
No, it's because I brought you down too far. I don't know my limits. I went too far. That's all. Luckily, I know this, so this is good. Horse and Hound.
Oh my goodness. I mean, talk about full circle. I think when that email came into my inbox, I was just like, am I actually reading this right? That they want me to do like a little drawing for them? And then when it was first printed, I was like, this is so bizarre. It's like actually my work in a magazine, and like I've got a little sketchbook where I've cut them out each week and stuck them. So
I love that.
But just it's so bizarre. It's so weird. I don't feel like I should be in the position I am. Do you know?
Emily,
no, I don't mean it like that.
You are amazing.
But just I don't know what to say. Sorry, that's a really involuntary noise, wasn't it?
It was.
I think my problem is I see so many incredible talented artists that are in like the same field as me, like that do comical horse illustrations, and I'm like, why aren't they like doing the commission I'm supposed to be doing? Because their work is so much, in my eyes, I think it's far better, far superior, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities I've had, but I also feel like I shouldn't be having them. Is that
imposter syndrome?
Yeah,
that's what that is,
isn't it?
But yeah, you absolutely should. You deserve everything you've got and so much more. And I mean, I am so excited to see your business continue to grow and develop. And I mean, you're incredible. You're so talented. And I'm genuinely excited to see what you come up with next, and where Marcel or Pip are hidden. I'm just all in on this. So can you tell us any tips for people who want to improve their drawing or build their business? Anything that you've kind of learned on the way that's really helped you? I mean, I know it's quite diverse, drawing and business, but obviously for you, they are very much the same.
Yeah. So when people ask about drawing, so obviously my drawings aren't sort of hyperrealism, so I can't advise on that aspect if you're going into that sort of work. But if you're doing like a cartoony illustration style, I'd say just work in a way that comes really naturally to you, because that's where you'll see growth, and don't try to force yourself to work in a way that you think people would like. I think it's a bit like you were saying with building your audience on social media, isn't it? It's like, be authentic to the way you work, and I guess that's a message for every part of your life. But yeah, in terms of like drawing, just practice, get a sketchbook, make as many mistakes as you like. No one needs to look in that sketchbook apart from you, and just enjoy it, have fun. It doesn't matter. Like, my horses have the most questionable conformation in existence. I'm pretty sure that if they were real, they'd just fall over all the time. Like, they wouldn't be able to do a trot or a pirouette or anything like that. They'd just be stuck. But just enjoy it. I think it's my main tip. Yeah, and draw what makes you happy as well. Don't think you've got to draw a certain thing because it's the in topic. Yeah,
they're very, very good tips. Do you have any tips about growing a business online that you'd like to share?
Oh, well, mine was pretty accidental, but I think, what would I say? Just keep posting your work and keep enjoying the things that you're posting. If you enjoy what you're posting, hopefully other people will enjoy what you're posting, and then the opportunities will hopefully follow suit from that. But also, I think a major thing is, like, don't be disheartened when posts don't get the attention that you felt that they were worth. I don't think likes or shares are always an accurate representation of how much people like or dislike a drawing. So just also bear in mind that sometimes the algorithm or whatever it is, the day, the weather, isn't always going to result in the biggest response.
Yeah, I think that's good. We focus on some of these things, I think, more than we should, and we kind of go, oh gosh, I must have messed up with that post, or in your case,
or people just don't like,
and actually it was
boring and I'm rubbish,
people were outside, and or that they liked it and saw it, but they've got the children at home and they got distracted, and they liked it and loved it but didn't actively engage, and so many variables.
I think the other thing, going back to like building a business, is don't undersell yourself. So I was talking to one of my friends, and she's wanting to start a business where she's making like wheelchair cushions, because she's saying that at the moment you can only, like for sporting wheelchairs, you can only get like red, black or blue. And she was just asking what for advice, I guess, not that I'm an expert, but I think I was saying to her, I was like, you've got a superior product, you're not trying to sell something on the cheap, you're not cobbled something together. And I think that's the same with like artwork or photography. You're not trying to be the cheapest person out there, and by doing something on the cheap, you're almost doing other artists a disservice, because if people think that they can get a drawing for £30, £50 or whatever, that's going to do more damage to other people trying to sell, because why would I buy from them when I can get it for like a fifth of the price? But I think finding value in your work is sometimes the hardest thing to get. It's a real mental block trying to put a value onto your work.
Definitely.
But
oh, great. So tell us all the places people can find you online. It's your website, Facebook, Instagram.
So I am Emily Cole Illustrations on Instagram and Facebook. I'm doing that thing where I can't remember whether I've got
I'll put the links in the show notes, don't panic.
I'm sure if you search Emily Cole Illustrations, it'll be there. Otherwise, my website is emily-cole.com, and that will definitely have links onto my social media accounts there.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Us today, the wider world. And I have loved our chat. You're an absolute diamond. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ria.